What's good, guys? Classic MMA. Today I'll be doing my full card predictions for UFC Fight Night, Brandon Moreno versus Loner Kavanagh. And all I gotta say is, oh brother, this card stinks. This card is genuinely garbage, bro. Well, anyways, I'm not gonna spend too much time hating on the card. I have to do my predictions. So let's get to it. First fight of the night, we got Wes Schultz versus Damien. We got Damien. We're just gonna call him Damien, all right? We're not saying his last name, but. Sorry, bro. We got Damien. We got Damien the GOAT. So Wes Schultz, his style, he's more of a grappler. Most of his wins are by submission or a TKO. And when he's on the feet, oh brother, this guy stinks. His defense is god awful. He got chinned a couple fights going in Dana White Contender Series. And then he's just kind of a marauder maxer, just walking forward at you and eating shots, even though his chin kind of stinks. And then Damien here, he's just a big physical African, kind of like a Tiba Gautier in a way, just big physical African with power. I have some questions about his grappling because we haven't seen him grapple. We haven't really seen him do much, just knock people out. So we don't know if he has good cardio or not. So we don't really know nothing about him. So for my final prediction, who I'm taking here, I'm taking Damien here by round 1 TKO. Kind of a low level fight, but I'll take Damien here. As Schultz's striking defense is awful, and I think the explosiveness of Damien will be an issue for him. So give me Damien by round 1 TKO. Alright, let's move on to some more high level MMA fights. We got Eric Silva versus Francis Marshall. Woohoo! Give an applause in the crowd for whoever at the UFC decided to book this. So on the side of Eric Silva, he's an unk. I mean, before the UFC, it seemed like he could be someone as he was getting a lot of finishes on the regional scene, but he's just kind of gotten checked in the UFC, starting his career, I believe, 0-2, one by leg injury, and then the other fight he lost by sub. So just kind of unlucky. And then Francis Marshall is probably one of the more unlucky UFC fighters there is right now. He's had really close split decisions with both Myron Santos and I believe William Gomez. Kind of got robbed in both of them, and he's taken like 2 years off, but he's back now. So Francis Marshall isn't bad though. It's good grappling. Both these guys like to grapple, which makes it interesting. So for who I'm picking here, give me Francis Marshall by decision. Marshall's been getting done kind of dirty by the judges recently against some really good prospects, and now I think he's going to get a real bounce back fight. As Eric Silva, he's a 40-year-old man, doesn't really have much power, has decent grappling. I mean, I think Francis Marshall will win this pretty clearly. So give me Francis Marshall by decision. Alright, moving on to the next fight on the card, we got Ernesta Caricati versus Regina Terran. The fight's low level when I couldn't even find the UFC didn't even have a picture of this girl. I got a silhouette. Yeah, this is what I found on Google. So I'm not gonna break down style, or I guess I will kinda. I'm just gonna say based on what film I've seen. Believe me, I've watched a lot of film on this fight, man. I was paying attention to that inside out, so outside foot battle. I was paying attention to the speed of the 1-2. Like, believe me, I know ball. So Caricati, she's a bit of a scrapper, not much power, but throws a lot of volume, throws a lot of shots. And then Regina Terran is just this like 21-year-old Mexican prospect that they got off the regional scene. She's won all of her fights by like round 1 TKO, which is interesting, but also doesn't have much experience either. So let's just get on who I'm picking here. Give me Ernesta Caricati by decision. I'm sorry, but I just can't pick someone on a couple days' notice off of regionals. I imagine Caricati will have a pretty good performance here. Remember, this is gonna be a repeat of that Alice Pereira versus Rendon fight where they get this young girl who's from the regional scene who has a ton of finishes and people pick her, but as soon as she isn't able to finish someone at the UFC level, she's trash. So give me Caricati by decision. Moving on, Douglas Silva DeAndre. Oh, my bad, I'm kind of fumbling these names. Douglas Silva Andrade versus Javier Reyes. So Douglas Silva, he's an unk, man. He's an unk of the division. Guy's been around the division since like 2013 or something. Like, he's won some fights, he's lost some fights. He's done it all in his UFC career. He's 40 years old. He's always been pretty durable, has decent skills, pretty good power, decent grappling, or decent offensive grappling. Defensive grappling is kind of mid. and then his striking's pretty nice, pretty good too for an old man. Javier Reyes, he's a guy of Contender Series he got finished on LFA a couple fights ago, but somehow got Contender Series, but I don't know how. Has big power, likes to swing Marauder Max, but also has some of the worst defense I've ever seen in my life, and has some questions technically, like as a fighter. Like watching his tape, I was not impressed. So for who I'm picking here, do I pick the 40-year-old or do I pick the guy who leaves his chin out in the air? I don't know. Let's flip a coin. Heads. All right. I'm picking Douglas Silva DeAndrade by decision. Call me crazy for picking a 40-year-old here, but Reyes really isn't good. I mean, his striking sucks. Like his striking defense especially sucks. And this guy literally got slimed out in LFA 2 fights ago. So I'm gonna pick the guy with experience and more skill. And it's not like these unks at bantamweight have been winning lately. I mean, look at Hody Barcelos on a 4-fight win streak. So give me a Douglas Silva DeAndrade by decision. Moving on, we got Christian Quinones versus Chris Moutinho. On the side of Quinones, we have just a kind of a Mexican brawler. Has pretty good power. Defensively is a little questionable at times, and his defensive grappling is not the greatest. Offensively, though, he's pretty good. So Chris Moutinho, I mean, we all know who he is. He's a punching bag. Like he's just a human punching bag. The UFC feeds him at Sean O'Malley. They fed him to Malcolm Homemaker. I mean, the UFC just likes to do Moutinho dirty. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this fight. So for who I'm picking, give me Christian Quinones by round 1 TKO. Quinones isn't great, but he's at least had a competitive fight with Tony Barcelos dropping him in that fight. And I feel he sleeps Chris here, who's just a human punching bag. I mean, look at that O'Malley fight if you want to know enough about Moutinho. Like, look at his record. The guy has like 6 KO losses. Like, the guy's genuinely trash. He's garbage, bro. Give me Christian Quinones by first round TKO. Next on the card, Alan Perez versus Mason Chiasson. Give an applause here for this amazing UFC matchmaking that I definitely care about. By the way, this is one of 4 ranked fights on this card. Wow. Thank you, Dana and Hunter. So, Alan Perez, she's a very wrestling heavy. On the feet, she likes to throw a lot of volume, just kind of get in your face. Mediocre striking defense, gets hit a lot, but has mostly just throws a lot to set up her takedowns, and then that's where she works. On the ground, she's pretty solid, lands decent ground and pound. So, Macy Chiasson, she's a tall, lengthy fighter who should use her length, but as of late just doesn't choose to use her length on the feet and just kind of gets it. And lately has just been losing. I mean, whether she's getting out grappled, out striked by Yana Santos. She lost to what 37-year-old Yana Santos. Like, not pretty, man. So I don't know. She hasn't impressed me too much lately. So for who I'm picking here, give me Alan Perez by decision. Macy Chiasson has just looked pretty awful lately, and I just see her getting cooked in the grappling like she did against Ketlin Vieira. And see Perez getting a pretty dominant win here. Alan Perez isn't that bad for WMA. She's on a good win streak. She got finished in her debut, but since then hasn't lost and has just been schooling the competition. So I think Chiasson will get scored here. Give me Alan Perez by decision. Next up on the card, we got the main event of the prelims. Wow, this is a high level fight. Ryan Gondra versus Jose Medina. Wow. So Ryan Gondra is this big physical middleweight, just kind of. I mean, he's very smart, calculator fighter. He likes to counter strike a lot. Likes to wait for openings to open up before throwing bombs. He has some questions about his game though. We haven't really seen his cardio. Haven't really seen his grappling defense. So still some questions there. And Jose Medina, just like Chris Moutinho, he's a human punching bag. I mean, the guy has a good chin, but other than that, he just gets beat up. I mean, he doesn't have the ability to hurt people in his fights. He doesn't really do much, just gets bobbled around. I mean, he even got finished against Gautier. Got finished against Dusko Todorovic, who's awful, man. Like, Dusko Todorovic is not much better than Jose Medina, and Jose Medina got submitted by him. Like, not a good look. So for who I'm picking here, give me Ryan Gondra by round 1 TKO. Medina is just a human punching bag, and even though Gondra has some holes in his game, I think he should be able to beat the bottom of the barrel at middleweight and Jose Medina. In pretty easy fashion, honestly. So give me Ryan Gondra by first round TKO. Alright, opening up our main card, we got Santiago Luna versus Angel Pacheco. On the side of Santiago Luna, we have a guy who, when he started his regional scene career, was more of a grappler, but recently has just realized he has power in his hands and now really likes that. Made his debut at UFC Noche last year against what's his name, Quang Lee. Got a pretty nasty KO. I mean, striking defense looks sus, getting dropped, but by Quang Lee, but was able to come back and get a pretty nasty TKO. So looked pretty impressive. Looked promising for like a 21-year-old. Angel Pacheco, I mean, he's just mid all around. I mean, he likes to throw a lot of volume. Doesn't really have the ability to hurt people. His grappling's pretty mid. Or his grappling was good on the original scene, but it just doesn't work against UFC competition. So I don't know. For my final prediction here, give me a Santiago Luna by first round TKO. Angel Pacheco just really is not that good at anything, and especially not defensively. So I just see Santiago Luna landing a big bomb and putting him out cold. So give me Santiago Luna by round 1 TKO. Alright, next up on the card, we got Emmanuel Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas. So, Emmanuel Rodriguez, he's a guy coming off Contender Series. He's very powerful, actually has power for flyweight. Very, very high output, likes to throw a lot of, likes to swing, likes to throw a lot. He has, classic Mexican chin, eats a lot of shots, can wrestle too. He had this fight against Joseph Morales on Tough, where Joseph Morales has pinned pretty good, and I thought Emmanuel Rodriguez beat him, honestly, so. Like, he got robbed pretty badly against Joseph Morales on Tough, so looked pretty promising. Kevin Borjas, very heavy, just counter striker, a bit too much at one at times. That's what caused him to lose his last fight against Sumerdaji. Isn't bad though. Actually has some sneaky power. Will randomly just flatline someone or get close to it, like drop Josh. I believe he didn't, or I don't remember. Yeah, he dropped Joshua Van with the knee in the first round. I remember that. Like he had a pretty competitive fight with Joshua Van, to be honest. By the end of it, Joshua Van was putting the absolute whooping on him, but at the beginning he had some pretty good moments. So. For my final prediction, give me Emmanuel Rodriguez by decision. Kevin Borjas isn't bad. He's just really low output, and I think that's an issue against a guy like Emmanuel Rodriguez, who's willing to swing for the fences. And I just see him being more active and winning a decision, especially in Mexico. Moving on to the featured fight of the card. This is a featured fight, or not the featured fight of the card, but we're getting close. Edgar Chairez versus Felipe Bunes is on the main card of a fight night. What am I looking at? So Edgar Chairez, he's a Mexican boxer who then kind of just realized he has BJJ and can submit people. So now he just kind of likes doing that a lot. Well, usually hurt people on the feet and then jump on a sub. He's actually an underrated prospect. He's only lost to he's had competitive fights with both Tatsuro Taira where he dropped Tatsuro Taira and also was also like putting him in submission attempts and stuff. And then against Joshua Van rocked him badly with a spinning elbow. So. And then Felipe Bunes, he's just middle. He's just kind of what's called, I don't know. He's frail. Like just look at the build of this guy. Like there's just nothing aesthetically pleasing about him. So for my final prediction, give me Edgar Chairez by round 2 submission. Bunes is just really not good at all. And I've seen Chairez have competitive fights with both Joshua Van and Tatsuro Taira, so I imagine he was pretty easily here. Give me Edgar Chairez by round 2 submission. Moving on, we got Daniel Zellhuber versus Bobby Green, the featured fight of the card. Oof. A lightweight on a 2-fight losing streak versus Bobby Green on a 1-fight win streak. Wow. So Daniel Zellhuber, he's a tall, rangy kickboxer, but doesn't really know how to use his range. It kind of shows. As he has low fight IQ, gets forced into brawls a lot, and just like against Esteban Ribovic, against Michael Johnson got dropped. I mean, not the highest fight IQ, but there is potential there. Has some BJJ that I wish he would use more. And he's just a bit of a question mark. And then Bobby Green, I mean, we all know Bobby Green. He's an unk of the division. He's walking at you with his hands down, probably getting chinned or losing. I don't know. He's just losing usually, so I don't know. For my final prediction, this is actually a close fight. I don't rate Daniel Zellhuber, and he did not look good at all in his last fight against Michael Johnson, but I'm slightly going to lean Daniel Zellhuber by decision here. It's a closer fight than the odds suggest, as Zellhuber is on a 2-fight losing streak, and I almost picked Bobby Green to win, but I just see Zellhuber winning a close decision in Mexico. Honestly, I'm picking Daniel Zellhuber by robbery decision in Mexico. Who's stopping me? No one. Alright, let's move on to something I actually care about. Or care more about, I'd say. Chito Vera versus David Martinez. This is a fight of all time. So Chito Vera, he was once known as one of the scariest guys in the division with insane KO power, just flatlining people and but recently he just became a bit of a staring machine. Just stares at you with his and he gets punched a lot and loses, and then cries about the decision. Like, I don't know. Cheeto is definitely not in the best form of his career, coming off what, like 3 straight losses. And then David Martinez, pretty solid karate blitz fighter. Made his debut against Simon Oliveira, got a pretty vicious knockout. And then on short notice against Rob Font, when I doubted him and pretty much everyone else did, he actually ended up winning the fight. Kind of schooling Rob Font in the striking, using a nice, really just stick and move, using his karate style, and absolutely kind of just piecing up Rob Font on short notice, which is impressive. So for my final prediction, I'm gonna take David Martinez by decision. Martinez really impressed me against Rob Font with the way he uses karate stance, and I just don't see Cheeto winning this. All he does now is just nowadays just stare at people. Like Cheeto's just washed, man. Like I love Cheeto Vera, but the guy is kind of washed, man. So for our main event of the card, we got Brandon Moreno versus Loner Kavanagh. So Brandon Moreno, he's a fan favorite, former flyweight champ, had a bunch of wars with Figueiredo back in the day. Very heavy boxing style. Also has some sneaky jiu-jitsu if he wants to use it. He used to be very like high output, but as of late against like Steve Erceg and Amir Albazi has become more technical, a lot more low output nowadays. And Loner Kavanagh, he was the like best prospect at flyweight until his last fight where he got chinned out cold by Charles Johnson. Did look really good early in that fight though. Was putting a whipping on Johnson, just gassed out in the second and got colded. So both these guys are interesting. So if we want picking here, it's a close fight, man. Like Moreno, I mean, he obviously has the experience edge, will have the cardio edge, but he just hasn't looked the same lately. He's looked slowed down. And Kavanagh's coming off a TKO loss, taking this fight in a couple weeks' notice. So I'll slightly lean Brandon Moreno by decision. I think this fight's a lot closer than people will tell you. As Moreno has started to slow down, he's regressed as of late and not looked good in his last fight versus Tatsuro Taira. Still, though, I think he wins here as Kavanaugh's cardio issues are actually something to look at. And also in the what's called the Mexico altitude, I just think that'll be too much for Kavanagh. So give me Brandon Moreno by decision. Anyways, hope y'all liked the video. I didn't have much fun recording this, but it's out the way. I'm going to what 13? I'm going 13 for 13 on picks. Quote me. Anyways, I'll catch y'all tomorrow.